Thank you for joining us for this edition of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. This edition of the Roundtable, we are being joined by Kim Singleton out of New York, Brandon Collins, who used to be in New York, I think is in LA now, Brandon Avery, Dallas, Dana Abercrombie in New York, Jill Monroe out of LA, Rhonda Brasha Penrise out of Atlanta, Nancy Green, Baltimore, and Sharonda Williams out of Atlanta. Members, do what you do best.
You get into an age, Kanan, where you're gonna want to start figuring out what you want for your life, making your mark on this world.
Doing what I did that night, looking that cop in the face. I don't think I'm up for any of this.
I'm looking to build, expand.
Kanan is scared, Rock.
I know who my son is, and I know what he's capable of.
I can't protect you the way that I thought I could, Mom.
So you're the little broad creating all these big problems, huh?
When they come for us, they gonna come for all of us.
You gonna question me?
I'm just trying to keep us all alive.
Your mom should have never asked you to do that, Kanan. But she was wrong.
You a man now, Kanan. It's time to get it.
On the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job. Had second hands, my life got no better. Same damn low sweater. Time is ripped and tough like leather.
Everything I'm doing, I'm doing for you.
Figured out I went the wrong route, so I got with a sick tight click and went all out. Fast moves everything around me.
You the heir to this throne, Kanan. And it's waiting for you, if you want it.
Hello, everyone. Power Everything fan. I'm Kim Singleton, considerate Black-led out of New York City, and I'm going to direct my question to Malcolm. Malcolm, your character seems to be stuck in the family business, even though you have this passion for the music business, but you still go along to get along. You follow orders. Share with us what your character may be thinking about his sister. Tell us what he may be thinking that's not being said out loud.
What is he thinking? Plot, episode 5. So how do I say this without getting in trouble? I believe the character is thinking that she's dangerous. And she's dangerous not only to herself, but to the family itself. And the very credence or credo that she gave the family, which is that it's about the family and protecting the family, is now in jeopardy. So he's having not only a crisis with her process of moving, but with the identity of what he thought he was a part of. So that's the safe way. I think I could not give away no plots without getting in trouble with Sasha. So yeah, that's what he's thinking. He's having a personal crisis with both himself and what he thought his family was, and with her actions jeopardizing herself and everyone else.
Great, thank you. I guess we'll have to see it unfold, but thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, good job, Kim.
Brandon Keith Avery with Just My Opinion Reviews in Dallas, Texas. And my question is being shot to Omar. Sir, what I'm loving about the season 2 so far is it seems like your character is getting a redo or a second chance on events that transpired in the first season. We all know that second chances are a blessing. It's not a guarantee, so you should take advantage of it every time it presents itself. So I want to ask you, in your long, great career, has there ever been a chance in your film or acting career, has there ever been a time to where things didn't pan out the way you thought they necessarily should or would the first time around, but they turned out better when you got a redo, when you got a second chance? And if so, how did you use that energy for preparing for the role of Howard that you're playing today?
Man, that's a great question. First of all, Cowboys, because you said Dallas. I'm a Cowboys fan. But in this career, you constantly face that. You constantly have to sort of reinvent. You constantly have to in my opinion, you have to throw curveballs at the audience. You know, for example, it's like when I did the show House, you know, no one saw that coming. And it's like you have to constantly take chances and risks because it's easy to get boxed into, it's easy to get stereotyped, or it's easy to fall into you know, films or television that people just get used to seeing you do. And for me, I'm an artist, so I constantly want to challenge myself and do things that seem outside of the box, but they don't seem outside of the box to me, because to me, there is no box. But, you know, after doing this for 30 years, you know, people can get used to seeing you a certain way. And it's fun to just sort of, you know, go this way, go that way, go up, go down. It's just constantly, I say this humbly, but it's like keep the audience on their toes, because they never know what's coming. And that's part of being an artist, you know? One day you wake up on this side of the bed, next day you wake up on that side of the bed. So I love the question, because that's exactly what Howard is going through. You know, Howard has gotten his second chance, and he's sort of, but what's sort of, I guess, nefarious about it is the audience is gonna have to find out, is it genuine or is he manipulating, you know? Because, you know, nothing corrupts more than power. And this is a character, I mean, pun intended, but this is a character who's used to having the power. So now that he's faced with not having it, it's like, how does he play those cards?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jill Monroe, Access to the Life. My question is for Haley. So we see Jukebox, we know that she went through a lot of loss last season. This season, she's probably the only member that's not technically in the family business, but she has a lot of family business problems and issues. So for her this season, what do you think is going to have a greater impact? Her outside family issues, or will she be drawn into what is going on with her family on this side?
That's a really great question. I think the cool thing about Jukebox when it comes to the family is she can navigate every single person in every single scenario at any given time. She knows what's going on. She knows the gossip. She knows the what's what. And she kind of she's the vault of the family. And so it was really easy being able to navigate that side of things, as opposed to all of the outside forces and the love she had never experienced before, the culture shocks she had never experienced before. So this season, I'm excited for you guys to see how she starts to navigate the world after all the loss that she's been through, because it's a lot different than before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Green, and I'm with Film Critique. My question is for Omar. I'm finding a lot of the interactions, the relationships that your character has very interesting. So I wanted to know if you could tell us a bit more about that without giving anything away, and how your character maybe sees things now and has changed after the events of season 1.
Great question. Hard to answer without giving stuff away. But I'll tell you this, he's threading the needle, you know, as everyone saw at the end of season 1. I mean, he was faced with like his mortality. And, you know, what people are gonna see in season 2 is a version of vulnerability, but it's all internal. You know, externally, he still has to put on this sort of hardcore, you know, don't mess with me attitude, whether it's the police force or whether it's the streets, because that's his magic, that's his superpower, is he's got both. But now he's in a place where, you know, after being faced with mortality, you know, he's trying to figure out who he is on the inside, you know. And what I love about playing the character is, like, I kind of call him an octopus because he has tentacles everywhere, but every character has a backstory. And so I think emotionally, the audience is going to see him trying to piece that together. Like, how did he become this way? You know, and that's you know, it's going to be a fun ride.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Katya Woods with the Philadelphia Tribune and Couple Soul Show. Malcolm, Kim stole my thunder a little bit, but my question is for you. I feel like your character is the one that is most level-headed. You're thinking about the long-term plan, whereas Patina is thinking about, taking power, and she just wants to rule, where you're like, these decisions have consequences, whether it's the taking over the projects and going into New Jersey. And he's trying to figure out how to get through to her without, compromising himself. How much fun was playing that? Because, everyone else gets to be more outwardly, whereas with you, it's a little bit more internal.
Oh, I love it. It's great because that is not me in real life. So that's just fun. I get all this. I get to get treated like I'm the sensible one in the group. It's awesome. I get to exercise part. Well, that's the thing about acting that I love. Omar said to Brandon's great question is that you get to exercise parts of your personality that maybe you wouldn't have the opportunity to do as a regular person because you're licensed, right, to do so in another character. And then you get to take something back. I like to think that our characters hopefully give us something back sometimes. And I've definitely taken a whole lot of more rationale from Lulu and understanding that ambition isn't always the answer from Patina's character portraying Raquel, right? Because I think that especially in this society, American capitalism, neoliberalism, we end up finding ourselves in this rat race. We find ourselves dedicated to achieving more and growing constantly. And we never sit back and go, wait, hold on. Is it worth the price? And what is the price? What is the opportunity cost for ambition? And watching this woman who I admire and love both in real life and as a character go to achieve at the length she does often causes me to look at what I'm doing and being separated from my family and even the relationships we built on set with each other and going, wait, is it worthy? Are we doing the thing to edify and water the soil that we are as people, as connection, as community? And am I willing to give that up, and at what price? And oftentimes it's a hard question. It's a hard thing. And that's why I can't condemn Raquel all the time. But I also have such a heart for Lulu because he really understands, I think, better than any of us in the universe that like, this is going to corrupt the very thing we're fighting for. And it keeps me on my toes as a human, looking at my family and my friends and going, what are we all working 12 hours a day for? Like, what are we doing? You may not be killing nobody, but your spirit, you feel me? So that actually it's been fun. I love playing them. And that was a really good question. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Brandon Collison, Media and Popcorn Podcast. My question is for Mr. Epps. You mentioned earlier that your character has tentacles everywhere, right? And we know there's a power universe, but if there was a power multiverse, which character in any other series outside of Raising Kanan would you want to have a scene with and why?
Oh, man, that's a really great question. Interesting question. Wow, you kind of got me stumped there. If there were a multiverse, I'd probably say Ghost. I'd probably go for Ghost because I think that Howard would either want to, play in a sandbox with him, but I think ultimately he would want to have power over him, because that's what Howard is all about, is about control. So I think he'd want to figure out a way to control this cat who's making all this money, but Howard knows he's doing this dirt. So it's like, but in a way of where, Howard's willing to go farther than where Ghost would go. Even though Ghost came from the streets and all of that, Howard came from a different set of rules from the streets. So he plays dirtier. So hopefully that answers your question.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Sharonda Williams from Pair Weight. Omar, this is for you. I mean, hopefully we can talk about this. I'm sure somebody can say something if we can't. But I really love, there's something that happens in one of the episodes in which, as your character is trying to discover how to show up in people's lives, that we talk a little bit about what it means to be a parent versus actually showing up to be a parent in your child's life. And I wanted to know for you, like, what is that impact of knowing that you're actually going to be able to show parents who may be estranged or who may be new to parenting, what it means to actually show up for their children?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful question, first of all. And through the character Howard, it's like you know, a lot of times in life we learn in real time, you know, and a lot of times it's just about showing up. You don't have an agenda. You don't know what you're going to say. You don't know what the other person's going to say, but you're there and you're like figuring it out in real time. So for Howard to have suspicions that, you know, Kanan might be his son, what does that mean? And that's what I said before about like backstory, like the way I'm playing it in my head is, what was Howard's childhood like? Was his father in his life? Was his mother in his life? Like, why does he carry these hard emotions? And then he goes through something that completely blows his world or his heart up. And so I think in season 2, the audience is going to see him figuring that in real time, because to your question, in real life, you know, sometimes you don't know. There's no, you don't write a speech, you don't, but the important thing is you show up and hopefully the other person shows up and then y'all figure it out, you know, and whether it goes left or right, at least you try, you know? And I think in season 2, that's what Howard is he's trying to figure out how to try, because he doesn't have that toolbox. He doesn't have those tools in his toolbox emotionally. So again, that puts him in an internally vulnerable space that he's unused to and he's uncomfortable. But the bigger thing is, when we're uncomfortable in life is usually when we grow, you know? That's usually when we grow, when we're outside of our comfort zone and experiencing something we never have. And then we come away with that takeaway, like, and then you reflect back on it like, wow, I never looked at this situation that way, or I never thought this about that person because they present this way. And you can have a conversation with someone and they'll blow your mind like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that about you. Now you look at them different. So now you've got a learning lesson. So Howard's going to go through a lot of that season 2.
Thank you so much.
Dana Abercrombie from the Coalition. My question is directed towards Malcolm. As Lula, we're seeing a lot of the music business crossing over with the street business. And so I was wondering, if anything was to go completely awry, do you see Lulu protecting music associates over his partners in crime?
That's tough. Well, I don't know how much of the season breakdown y'all got, but I think this is fair. There's someone who Lulu takes a particular interest with. There's 2 people he takes a particular interest with in the music business this season. And depending on the nature of those relationships, I believe there are some people he would protect, but never more than family. I don't think Lulu like that. Now, the one person who I do think in the music business that he would protect over family is either his niece, shout out to Haley, or himself, because he's still, you know, he's Rock's child for all intents and purposes. You know, he's Rock's child, and he's learned very well from Rock that self-preservation is key.
Hey, from Miss Gilgore, your character Jukebox is going through a lot this season. So talk about like her relationship with her father, and also like kind of going out and finding answers to life on her own.
Yeah, that's a really great question. One of the things I was the most excited about going into the second season was seeing how that relationship was going to continue between Jukebox and Marvin. It's very interesting. I think that's the most I can say. It's a very, very fascinating twist and turn between the 2 of them. They both have a lot of resentment. They both have a lot of anger and frustration towards each other, towards the world. And they're both going through a lot of stuff that's really difficult. So I'm really excited for you guys to see more of how that turns out without saying way too much. And then, yeah, Jukebox navigating the world. It's like I said earlier, she's looking at things through a different lens. So it's going to be really interesting for you guys to see how she navigates people, how she starts taking on a lot of Rock's manipulative side. And she starts using that for herself. And that was really exciting for me, for sure.
Hello, great to talk to you guys today. My question is for Sasha, actually. So Sasha, heading into season 2 with this, we see the family business is the overarching theme, but what did you want to make sure that you showcased this season? And if there's a particular character who goes through the most transformative events this season, who would be the one to watch?
Great question. Well, first off, thank you for having us. And also thank you for acknowledging the work that Bettina did in season 1. You know, she's obviously spectacular, as is Makai. So thank you for that, you guys. You know, I think season 1 ended pretty dramatically. So there's some things there we need to sort of figure out from a narrative standpoint. You know, and I think whenever you get a second season of a show, you spend the first season sort of establishing the characters and the world and getting the viewers somewhat comfortable with that. And then you have this opportunity, a second season, to expand that world and to do a deeper exploration into the characters. Having said that, to go back to your sort of the second part of your question, you know, interestingly, I think that probably Marvin has the greatest arc across season 2. And I say that because, you know, the way things ended for him in season 1 was pretty, I mean, I think, you know, it was pretty polarizing. I shouldn't even say polarizing. It wasn't polarizing. I think people really felt pretty strongly about Marvin at the end of season 1. And probably not for great reasons, frankly, justifiably. And so season 2 is really a journey of sort of understanding and redemption for him. And, you know, you guys will have to let me know whether he's ultimately successful in that regard. But if he isn't, it's not because of London Brown. It's because of the writing, because London is incredible. And I think the work that he does in the second season is truly sort of magnificent. But yeah, so that's who I would sort of identify. And that isn't to say that every character has an arc across the season, but that one I feel like is the greatest transformation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My question is for Bettina, and I'd like to ask you about the mother-son relationship. It's clear that you want to protect Kanan, your character wants to protect Kanan at all costs. However, you still make him do things and put him in situations that are very dangerous. Share with us your character's insight into, like, how does she rationalize that?
Okay. No, go ahead. Keep going.
No, but that's it. Just
I first will say she's never made anyone do anything. I think Kanan steps up to the plate. Like you'll see in the last episode, the 109, he says, "What do you do? What do I want to do it? I want to do it. I want to do it." So I will say she doesn't, you know, she makes some people do things like her brothers. It's like, but for Kanan, she's never made him do anything. Kanan throughout the first season kept wanting to be involved in his mom's business. And she kept saying, "You don't know things. You don't know this world. Get out of this world. You don't know it." And he kept doing it. So now Rock's in this sticky situation. You know what I mean? She's in a situation where she can't really think as clearly as she wants to think. Her brother's in the hospital, almost lost his life. Things are turning, moves are being made. And her son positions himself as, I can be the one to take care of it. And she, you know, goes there. And with that, there are consequences to doing something like that. It's what she tried not to do the entire season. And, you know, second season is all about grappling with the you know, the decision to send him to do something, as we all know what he did. And so second season is all about trying to find him because, you know, it changes him, it changes their relationship. And also the secret is still out there. And, you know, we know how it ends. He's, you know, Howard's not dead, as we all know. And so it's just the threat of the relationship for Rock is, will he find out? Will he not? And she's constantly trying to establish what that relationship is in season 2.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Brandon Council Media and Popcorn Podcast. My question is for Makai. Great work this season. You're just killing it. My question is, how do you approach Kanan without the baggage of what happens to him way later in his life in the Power universe, right? Like, how do you not be sad all the time on set and like, I'm gonna die a really bad death? What is this all for?
Well, one, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate you acknowledging the work, man. It's definitely, you know, I definitely put in the reps to try to get there, so I appreciate that. Two, to answer the question of how do I kind of ignore the outside noise of, you know, knowing Kanan's fate. Honestly, that's a great question. I really have not really put much thought into that in terms of, like purposely staying away from. I was a fan of the show already when I even came into being a part of the project, so I naturally had that in the back of my mind. So I think it just, at the end of the day, turned into how do we reverse engineer this story so that nobody even really sees this coming, especially people that are not privy and new to the Power universe.
Thank you so much, and great job to Patina as well. This is a fantastic season.
Katia Woods here. My question is for Patina. What I love about this show, and especially Roxanne, is she's unapologetically ambitious, and it's not positioned as her trying to be a man. She's just a woman that enjoys being in charge and likes being a boss. Talk about why that's important to not position it as that way instead of her trying to emulate men.
Yeah, she grew up with men, right? Like her two brothers, and she's around all of them. But what I think I love about her is that she is just really smart. She is just really good at what she does. She knows who she is. She grew up. She had to grow up very young, having a child at a young age, but she's always been sort of driven and wanted this thing. And, she's smart enough to do it. And so I think she's just making the moves that any guy would move. She's not trying to be one of them. She's just being herself. And I think that's what scares a lot of the men around her, is that she is just so, she is powerful because she just is, and she doesn't try to be that. So I love that we're just playing her as not trying to be a man. But, there are women out here. It's nothing new, right? Women are out here like making our mark on the world. We're in all these spaces that are predominantly held by men every day, and we're just doing what we do. So I love that Raquel, the character, is no different.
Agree, and I think you're fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Green with Film Critique, and my question is for Sasha. One of the things that I really loved about this show and was really just floored by was how authentic the costuming and everything 90s is with this show. Can you go a bit more into that and how you guys keep that consistent?
Well, first off, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's a real testament to everyone that works on this series. The costume designers are Sergey White and Frank Fleming. We have an amazing production designer, Tanya Biljani. We have, it's a nonstop job, to be honest. And what I mean by that is like, we're scouring, people's closets and warehouses all year round, trying to find this wardrobe because, our viewers are pretty attentive, and they know before anyone else does if we mess something up. And, as I like to say, Twitter is undefeated in terms of calling us out on anything we get wrong. Look, it's really, the challenge for us is like, if we get that wrong, then it pulls you out of the series, it pulls you out of the experience. If someone notices that those Jordans aren't the actual Jordans from 1992 or 91, that they're reissues, it's like, that's what they're thinking about. Like, we messed that up. And so for us, it's just really, really important that we capture all that, from the clothing. We had, for example, Unique's jacket in season 1, that was Dapper Dan. And, Unique's outfits in general are designed by designers who were doing that work in 1991. We go out of our way to find those people. Dapper Dan's a lot easier to find than others, needless to say. But yeah, it's a big part of the series. The music is also critically important, because I think that stuff for all of us, and frankly, you guys were talking about it when we came into the room, that stuff sort of has this visceral impact in terms of it really does bring you back to that moment. And so, it's a huge part of the series, and I think it's what makes the series kind of distinct and its own. And it's also really, really fun, but it's a challenge.
Nice. Thank you. And great job, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Brandon Keith Avery with Just My Opinion Reviews in Dallas, Texas. And Makai, this question is for you, sir. First off, great performance. I've been blown away so far. And I know in the past, you've talked about how when you first obtained the role of Kanan, how you was initially shocked and you felt a bit of pressure, but you prepared yourself by watching old 90s movies and television shows and studying the mannerisms of 50 Cent. I mean, in the first season, you were so different, wanting to protect your mother, but the second season, you're a bit skeptical. Like, I think I bit off too much that I can chew. So in the second season, Makai, like, did the creators of 50 Cent say to you, like, hey, we loved you the first season, do exactly what you did in the first season in the second season, or did they ask you to kind of take a different approach? Or if you could just kind of talk about how you approached the role the second time around.
Thank you for the question, first of all. I think, you know, there's Sasha's right here as well. I think there's always just been an extremely collaborative effort in terms of, you know, the arcs with any of the characters, any sort of forward motion that's going to happen with the story. I think that the overall, you know, understanding of where this character was going was kind of hit and nailed and really understood by all of us very early on. There are conversations that happen, you know, on the regular and the day to day about what's happening with these characters or how to play what's happening. But for the most part, you know, Sasha, 50, everybody really trusts one another with just our natural talents and you know, our natural instincts. That's one thing Sasha's always told me is, you know, he appreciates and trusts my instincts a lot of the time, even in times when I haven't. You know, a lot of the times he's deferred to me when it comes to those sort of things in certain moments, and I will always appreciate you for that, big dog. Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of, you know, the overall, I guess you can say, process of how, even going into second season, how we really built the character. It was, you know, just everybody had the general understanding of where the character was at that point. Sasha gave me he helped me kind of map out, yeah, this is what's going to happen this year. He, you know, definitely points you in the direction of, like, he gives you the warnings of, you know, this is essentially somewhere in the ballpark of what, you know, you're going to be going through this year. So yeah, that's kind of how it all came together. But for the most part, it's, yeah, we all trust one another to just come together and collaborate as one big think tank.
Right on. Thank you so much. And I was so shocked when I found out that you wasn't 50's son, because y'all look like twins.
Hey man, I take that as a testament to the craft, big bro. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Toronto Williams, pair of weights. This question is for Patina. I feel like, and let me know if I'm wrong or not, if this is a fair assessment, because it feels like there is a switch that has happened with Rock from what we've seen in season 1 to season 2. That Rock is really taking things to another level, not only for herself, but for the business and those around her. And I wanted to know, do you feel as though it's a fair assessment for those closest to her to see her behavior as reckless, or is this just another situation where, once again, Rock is 10 steps ahead, where everyone else can't really catch up and see the end in mind that she has?
I don't know. I always tend to believe there's nothing about Rock that's reckless. I think she's very calculated. She thinks a lot about, you know, the weight of what she's, you know what I mean? She thinks a lot in terms of everything. And so I don't know if she's reckless. I think she's been planning. She thinks that's why she is where she is, because she thinks about the things and she has the, you know what I mean, to see what's going to happen or what she wants for herself, and she sees the vision. And so, you know, that has sort of been the way that she's always done it. Now, listen, at the end of the season, it got a little, because she's human, you know, I don't think she saw like what was going to happen between her and Kanan. You know what I mean? The fallout of that. But I think she very much is like focused on, I want to expand my business. She's a businesswoman. She's trying to get everyone back aligned to focus on the family business, because in helping it grow, she's helping all of them, you know? So that's kind of, I don't really see it as being reckless. I just think she's really, she's ambitious. And she is not just okay with just being the queen pin of Southside Jamaica Queens. I think she wants to have it all.
Okay, we gonna claim that for Rock. She can have it all. Thank you.
All right, Karen Forster, here's what happened in Karen and Toss podcast. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. And my question is gonna be for Patina. You fantastic job from what we've seen for season 2 so far. You ended up just now by saying you don't think Rock is reckless. She's not. She's always calculative, and she thinks very practically. But this season is giving me a bit of a Greek tragedy vibe, and I kept thinking of Icarus. I'm like, she's flying so fast, she's flying so far and so far. I'm like, she's gonna burn out, and she's gonna meet the sun, and that sun is gonna send her plummeting back. And I want you to be able to talk to us about how, yes, she is calculative, but like her weakness is that she can't anticipate what other people will do. She knows what she wants to do, but
Yeah.
she doesn't know what other people are going to do. So talk about how her trajectory, using that term, is going to go on for season 2.
I mean, I think like, Rock, that is like the human part of her, right? Like, she, for how successful she is and all these things, like she is still human. Things do still happen, right? Like she can see, but she doesn't know what people are going to do. And so I think that's what keeps it exciting, is because there are, you get to find out all of these things. You get to see her react in the moment to things and being surprised. And so it's not really interesting to have a character who is just like the boss and has it all together. You need to see the cracks, and there are a lot of cracks in the second season just within who she is. I mean, her home life is very unstable. That's really been the thing that she had a handle on that at the beginning of the first season, and obviously that started to go away. But now that her business is thriving and her family life is in this like crazy, it's this crazy place right now, and her son is not seeing eye to eye with her, and she knows that she messed up. It's allowing her to not be as quick on her feet, right, with some things. And so you get to see her in real time have to deal with everything, and she doesn't get it all, so I love that.
Great, thank you so much. I can't wait to see where all the drama goes, because somebody's gonna get their wings clipped.
My question is, it seems like season 2 is about duality of becoming who you want to be versus kind of the situation of where you're stuck at. Kai is knowing this, and especially during the conversation that Raquel, how does Kanan navigate this season, first asking if there's more to what's going on versus how do I continue to please everyone that's in this family business?
Yeah, wow. I'm glad you picked out the duality in that, because that's definitely something we were trying to play with and teeter throughout the whole season. Is I think really that's kind of just the space Kanan is in, is just this teetering, trying to figure out, like, he's proud of being there, and ultimately his goal was to protect and be there for his family. He feels like he did that, not to the fullest extent of what he was asked, but I think that's where the duality comes in, is he became scared of how intense that task was. He was ready to do it, but when he was actually in the face of it, he's like, wow, I don't know if this is, as if I'm as ready as I thought I was. So that's really the space he's in throughout the entire season, but he's in this environment where he's kind of, forced to move dependent on just the scenario he's in. He's kind of in a survival mind space at this time. So you see the moments where he likes to still try to lean into his innocence a little more, but the circumstances surrounding his actions and his consequences kind of forces him into this, having to lean into the more aggressive, gritty side of where he is and what's around him.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to close it out with the queen, Miss Patina Miller. I am interested in Rock's relationship with Jukebox. What is that relationship? And I think that this season we're seeing more of it. So, how is Rock guiding her? What are the kind of questions that she has that makes it appropriate for Rock to be there and not for her father to be there?
I mean, I think, Rock, just as much as Kanan is her son, Jukebox is her daughter. Rock took over the responsibilities of raising Kanan, raising Jukebox while Marvin was away. And so, Rock has been sort of the only motherly figure she's known, Jukebox has ever known. And so I loved all those moments that you got to see the softness of Rock. You got to see her vulnerable side, not just with Kanan, but you got to watch her mother, this young woman who's on her own journey of becoming who she's going to become. And that was really important for me, to just see that relationship and to see her as accepting as she is of Jukebox. And, in the second season, you get to really see her be there for Jukebox a little more. Jukebox sort of serves as sort of a way into Kanan as well. She's the older one, and so she's sort of like Jukebox. She's the eyes for Rock in some way, but you do still get to see her be there for Jukebox as she's going on this journey of figuring out who she is. And it's nice that she has that. It's nice that, you know, you get to see that side of the relationship. It's one of my favorite. I mean, just as much as I love working with Makai, I really love working with Haley. And I think we found there's just some great stuff that we've gotten to bring out in each other just by investigating and figuring out that relationship. So.
Well, thank you guys.
Once again, we want to thank this amazing cast of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. We appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us today, and we'll see you in the next episode of AAFCA Roundtable.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.